Well, hello there. Here I am sitting behind my eldest son's drum kit. But no, I'm not going to play drums. I just thought, people in black t shirts sitting behind drum kits. Looks kind of cool. Anyways, what I'm really here for is to read you a poem from my poetry book, Small Matters. I've had some requests for audio versions, so I'm thinking that perhaps I could crack the book open, just kind of at random, and have a look at a poem and maybe talk a little bit about it and read the poem. Let's see how we go. So, when I sat down, I cracked the book open, I came to a poem called A New Road. Well, certainly we all have our new roads that we find ourselves on. Sometimes we have plans and we think the road's going to take us a certain way. Sometimes that happens, and sometimes it really doesn't. And we find ourselves on roads that we hadn't ever thought we'd find ourselves on. I can't remember when I wrote this one, but we've had some pretty big detours in our life, I should say. I found myself growing up in a very fringe Christian-ish group when I was 11, and that was quite a twist. Shortly after that, when I was 12, we moved to India, which was a massive twist. Certainly would never have seen that coming. Ended up in Thailand eventually. Maybe that wasn't as radical a twist. Spent a year in Russia. Gosh, certainly wouldn't have anticipated that, although it was an amazing and very cool experience. So lots of different roads. We ended up in Myanmar, where Michelle, my wife, became paraplegic quite suddenly. That was a massive twist, massive turn in the road. That brought us back to the UK. In more recent years, we had a turn and a new road that we did in fact choose, though it was quite radical, and that was when we moved up to the northeast and I studied agriculture and worked on a farm. That was not without its difficulties and challenges, but it was really good, really, really good. But I wouldn't have been able to foresee that even a few months before we did it. More recently, I found I had cancer in my left eye, and then that was treated. So I have quite dodgy vision in my left eye. I have to close it when I'm reading. And then, of course, in the last 6 months, I've found that I have cancer, which is apparently terminal. So very foolish of the cancer to be so assertive, because it doesn't get to live as long that way. But there you go. Hey ho. It might find itself on a road it didn't anticipate. But yeah, we find new roads, and I think we can't always determine the roads we take. Sometimes we can. But we can determine that whatever roads we find ourselves on, we can determine how we will travel on them, I think. And I think that's what this poem is really about. It's called A New Road. I see my road turn sharply right off this old road that I've been on, and still I struggle, knowing familiar sights and scenes will soon be gone, perhaps for good. But then I promised I would listen to God's voice whenever it should speak inside, and this was, yes, my own choice. I think perhaps some things will be the same, I hope, but cannot know. Or I may lose more than I thought I had before, but time will show. What is quite sure is that this road I take in predetermined faith, with tingling nerves anticipating this, the next stage of my fate. I only hope I travel well each path, with joy and peaceful heart, with love for God and fellow man, and quiet contentment with my part. With clarity of vision of the truth I strive to follow, with constant hope and confidence in God for each tomorrow. So there you have it, a new road. And God grant you grace for each new road you find yourself on. Peace be with you.